It is abnormal to make decisions. It's abnormal. God said that we don't know what we want anyway. We don't know what to do. We don't know what we want. And that's why you're having trouble making decisions, because you really don't know what you want. And you really don't know what to do. It's human nature to try to play that role and think that you know what you want and that you know what you want to do. It's not God's nature, it's human nature. Human nature is of the devil. So that's why you're having so much conflict with God. Ways are easy. There's no decision making about it at all. So if you want to get over that, you have to stay in the moment and not in your head. And you just do what's in front of you to do. And one thing leads to another one. And it's always right. It always works out. You don't have to put it down. You get it done. And you don't even think about it. But you got to, in the Bible it says, seek first the kingdom of God and his right way, and all things will be added. If you put first thing first, and that's that quiet time with God so he can guide you, then he'll bring you out of that decision-making mode. And that's why you're confused by it. Because it's abnormal to do it. People are stressed out by it. All you have to do is live in the moment, in the present where God is, and all things are there. And I'm telling you, he gives you a lot to do right in front of you. There's always something to do. And it's right exactly what you should be doing, what you should be doing at the time you should be doing it. And then you have no stress, no worries, no nothing. Christine made the point about exercise and eating. Even with that, you don't have to think about that either. If you put him first, eventually that will fall in place too, because your nature is changing and everything about you starts to change where you can live in the moment. The problem is most people don't live in the present. It is something else living in the presence of God. Come into his presence. And so instead of trying to figure out how to make decisions, how to get over that, you just become aware of yourself. That's all to it. It's just that simple. When you become aware and separated from your mind, you're going to be like, wow, it's amazing how the thoughts just mess you up because they're from hell. And they never, ever, ever, ever give you any truth at all. And they always make you live in the past or the future, which doesn't exist, and it's so painful living there. There's a journey that we are on, and our pathway is already laid out for us. And if you could just live in the presence with the Creator who created this pathway for us, then you'll be fine. Don't look to the left or to the right or to the left, or don't try to be like someone else. Don't try to figure it out. You don't have to commit to commitments. Just live your life. Living in the present, you're committed. You're going to keep your word. You're going to do the best you can. You're going to do it on time. You're not going to stress. You're not going to overly do it. It's just done. It really, really is. And then you still have time to waste. It is so easy. It is so, well, it's not sad, but it's interesting in that God has made this for us, and everything is there. And like you reject your father and accept Satan's ways. And then you make up excuses about it. It's mind-blowing to see that. And so many people are hurting from that. God is our Father. He's already laid it out. And he loves us. Don't worry. Come out of that hellhole of your imagination. That's why the world is going to hell in a handbasket today, because everybody's trying to figure it out. Let's go right here, Rob, with the black shirt on.
I just wanted to know what part does intuition play into that whole idea of what you guys are talking about?
Intuition. That's a good question. What is intuition? Define that for me.
I think it's like a guide, like a guidance, something inside you that kind of tells you to go one way or another. But sometimes you can confuse it with good sources or bad sources. But
Oh, I see.
It's just a thing of these guys are talking about decision making,
Right?
and you're talking about being free from decisions through objectivity.
Can you imagine living a life free from decision making? That is something else.
But doesn't intuition play a part in that?
If you within all of us, there is a knowing. There is another voiceless voice, And so what happens when you become familiar with Satan's voice, that sound like your voice, the devil's voice, when you become familiar with that voice, and then you become familiar with God's voice, you start to follow his voice, and Satan's voice is further away from you. And so you find yourself following those orders that he gives you, his direction. It just become as natural as it used to be to follow Satan's voice, which sound like yours. And that is coming from within, and I guess that's what you mean by intuition, right?
Mm.
I went to the gym the other day, and I needed a parking place, right? And so I'm driving, and all the parking was taken. And then all of a sudden, I just found myself turning around, and right there, a parking place. I'm like, wow. And I was in a rush and everything. I'm like, wow, this is... But for some reason, without thinking about the parking, I was just guided to the parking spot. It was meant for me. It was there for me. And it was the most interesting feeling I had in a long time. And that's how he operates.
But there's two sides to what was meant for you. There's the good side and the bad side. In a sense, the good side is what was truly meant for you, but a lot of times the bad side can try to lead you to make you think what was meant for you.
Not if you know the other voice, the voiceless voice. If you are connected with the voice within, with God's voice, then the bad side can't mess with you. It'll come and tempt you. It'll try to make you, but you won't obey that voice after a while. Mm. And as far as God is concerned, there's no bad side for you. If you're his son, it's all good, buddy, all the way. It doesn't matter what you're dealing with, what you're going through, who you're dealing with, the situation. It's all good for you. Bad doesn't exist, even though evil exists. You know what I mean?
It all works out for the good, you're saying?
Yes.
Okay.
And when you're living this way, you're not thinking about bad and good. You're just living.
So, yeah, it's kind of freeing in the sense of it's not about rules and regulations. It's just about living and kind of watching things.
That's right.
Evolve.
But you're watching things, not necessarily with your eyes. You're watching as they are being revealed to you. And they will be revealed to you in due season. Don't worry about it. It is so amazing. You're watching as they are being revealed to you. It's like, just like Satan or evil is driving you before salvation, whatever salvation is, after that, God is driving you.
Right.
Good is driving you. Mm. And that's when decision making and commitment and all that stuff fall to the wayside. You don't need it anymore. That makes sense?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. That's why he said we need a renewed mind from within. And when that light comes on from within, everything changes.
Okay, thank you.
And then it's easy to walk away from your kids, from anybody that don't want to listen, or they're on this road of destruction. There's nothing you can do about it. You're willing to let it go because you have this renewed mind, which create a different relationship with people, places, and things. We have to renew our minds from within. Do you know how to do that? Have you heard that said before?
Not exactly.
Oh, you haven't? Who have heard that before? Renew your mind from within. Oh, okay. Only 4 or 5 people. Do you know what it means to renew your mind from within?
Lee?
Okay. Yeah, I want honesty because I used to hear this all the time in the churches. Didn't know what they were talking about. It sounded good, but I didn't know what they meant. And then they would say, well, read the Bibles. That's how you renew your mind. No, you don't. You mess your mind up even more so. Here's how you renew the mind from within. And you're right. It's not of ourselves that we can renew the mind. It has to happen. God caused that to happen. So here's an example. When trouble comes, sometimes stuff comes, right? And your first instinct is to try to solve the problem right away so you can get rid of the pain, get rid of the hurt. You don't want to have to go through that. Anybody ever done that? So you want to hurry up and fix it, right? What I would recommend is that you take a moment and become aware of yourself within. Just kind of look at how you're feeling about it, what you're thinking about it. Pay attention to what Satan is telling you about the situation. Notice how you're feeling. Just take that still moment because God is there with you And in that still moment, when trouble is there, your mind is being renewed. And you're changing in the way you see things, the way you deal with situations, the way you feel about life, the way you see life in that very moment. But the problem is most people get caught up in their head the moment something happened, and they're like running with their thoughts, trying to fix it and going nuts and going crazy. They never allow the renewed time to happen. That's one way to do it. When you could be still, remember when the disciples were on the ship with Christ, and they're all believing in him, and they're like, wow, you're really cool. We all tough. We on the water. We have faith. We believe in you, Jesus. You're the man, right? And Jesus like, oh, okay, cool. And Jesus knew that they were lying, right? So he said, they're like, oh yeah, we got faith. You know how you say you have faith until something happened, right? Like you feel all strong. I'm walking in faith. And then as soon as something comes. So Jesus laid down and took a nap. And then when Jesus took a nap, a storm came, which is challenges in life, came. And the first thing they did was freak out. Like, wake up, wake up. The storm, we're about to sink. And you're like, oh, I thought you guys had faith. They did not have the faith. But had they known to just be still, they could have commanded the water to be still. They could have stopped the rain. They could have stopped the storm. And that's what happens when something comes into your life to challenge you. If you could stay still in that moment and not go with the craziness of your head, you can change the situation just like that. And it's not you, but he that dwells in you to give you the power. Your faith will do it. It is absolutely true, absolutely amazing. But you got to stop overreacting to those situations, because all you're doing is setting yourself up for the next situation to be wiped out, even more so. Every time you overreact, your ship is sinking. Every time you stand still, you're stopping the storm. You're overcoming. That makes sense? But you got to be aware enough to know this is my moment to be still and know God. My moment to be still, because we have a power inside of us. And so it's given to us all the time. Every time a situation comes, that's a time for faith to go into operation. If nothing's happening, you don't need to have faith. But wait till somebody talk about you, or somebody steal your money, or someone lie on you or something. You're ready to freak out and go fight. But don't do it. Practice that so you can build that faith will build itself. Just calm down and be aware of how you're thinking. You can see then where you are with God. And he will blow your marrow off. And if you have an afro, he'll take care of that too. It's so wonderful. But you got to calm down and live your life in that way. Be aware. Did that help? That make sense? This is why you got to know yourself. Now, I know we all have jobs. We have families, we have businesses to run, we have all kind of stuff, right? But those things are secondary to what I'm talking about. They are secondary. Put first thing first, and that is seeking God within you. He's there. He loves us, and he will take care of you. And it's just mind-blowing. And the more you be aware in time of trouble, and I know some of you are not going to do it. It's so unfortunate. As soon as this meeting is over, someone's going to look at you out the corner of their eyes, and you're going to be mad. Rather than taking that quiet moment to overcome, to know God. Thank you so much for being with me. I am Jesse Lee Peterson. You can get involved by calling 800-411-2663, 800-411-BOND.